All right, everybody, we are now officially live here at JP Football Fanatics. What is going on, Football Fanatics fans? It's your boy James here, back with you once again live as we saw each other late last night for my Week 8 prediction video. Not Week 8, I'm sorry, my Week 7 weekly, recap videos and reaction videos. So good to see everybody again. I hope everybody's having a great night so far and hoping to look forward to a great weekend of football and just to try to enjoy the best weekend as possible with just being able to relax and being able to talk and be able to hang out with friends and do whatever you like to do as we head into the Halloween season. So we've got another week of football, and in some cases, some people may call it a spooktacular football weekend. So that's something to really look forward to. We have some good matchups this week. I'm really looking forward to being able to talk with you guys about those matchups for this week, and I'm also excited to talk about some bets that might be some good bets to also do this week, along with that side as well. But there's a lot of things to talk about. There's a lot of games that's going on this week. Last week was a decent week for me in terms of picks, so that's a good thing. And so this week I'm looking forward to another successful week of predictions. Hopefully, get some more people to really join in, be able to have some conversations with those people, and just being able to do the right thing and do what they can to succeed. So before I can move on any further, I see one person is on so far. Thank you for that one person that is tuning in. I appreciate it. So talk to your friends about it. Talk to anybody that's a football fanatic. I like to really hear and listen to some people, their talk about football and just be able to talk about, football in general and seeing like where their standing is this year as far as like which teams are going to really do really well, where they're going to really make a difference, which teams need some work, and some teams to really panic. We'll talk about that as well. And also just some fantasy football talk. And the only way I can do that, the only way I can be able to do that with people is if you, right now, right here, right now, be able to hit that like button on this video or any other videos that I do on this YouTube channel, and just also be able to leave a comment down below as well. If you're able to do some of those things, I really would appreciate you being able to do those things for me and help me out the best way possible. So please do me that solid. Drop a like, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll be able to continue with that. And also, too, in tune of any kind of new material that I do post for my YouTube channel as well and the podcast, hit that subscribe button, people. Hit that notification bell. Anytime that I post new material that's going on, it's something that's really important. So subscribe, hit that notification bell, and the more that you guys are able to do that, the more that you are going to be able to help me out in the long run. So really looking forward to that. And so just do all those three things. If you can do those three things, you are golden, and you are going to be helping me out to my most beneficial causes of trying to get the best football material out to you as best as possible. And with all that being said, thank you again for tuning in. Hopefully we get some more people tuned in soon. For that one person that is on right now, please, tell your friends about it. I also posted on my Facebook page the YouTube link to link into if they're interested. I also posted on my Instagram page as well, so that way you guys can be able to find the what the title of the video is, my YouTube channel name, and me going live right now. And hopefully enough people do see that and be able to share that around. And also, I just shared it on Snapchat too. So, do some of those things, you guys. I really need your help. I really need you to get the word out there, because I have some of the best football work knowledge as like any other commentator or any other podcast person does. So, I really want to get this YouTube channel out and going, and I want to be able to help people really understand and make some good bets, and have some other opinions as well as seeing like how I can help them out the best way possible. With all that being said, let's begin. Let's begin with Thursday Night Football, which is going to be tomorrow. Thursday Night Football tomorrow is the Baltimore Ravens, who are traveling to face the Tampa Bay, or right now we should probably just be calling them Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 1.5-point favorites to the Ravens. The Bucs, we know their struggles right now. They are struggling significantly on the offensive side of the ball. They don't have the offensive line that they used to. They don't have quite the depth as they used to as well. You could just tell that this team is definitely a lost cause team without some of its key players, especially on offensive line. And the running game with Leonard Fournette has not really been and hasn't really been existent. And Tom Brady is just there's so much going on with Tom Brady right now in terms of the marriage that's going on, the divorce going on with Giselle, and just family problems that's going on right now with him. And so he's got a lot of distractions going on his plate. And you got to feel for the guy in a way, but also too you also got to think about too in a respect of where you know this is basically his mid 40s now. Do you really want to really make a difference? Do you really want to keep playing this dangerous sport, or do you want to really spend some time with your family and kids while they're still young and you're able to do that? So a lot of distractions going on with him right now is why he's not really playing the best football that we all know he can be. But he's got a very important game against the Ravens. Why? Why is the Ravens so important? Well, not only are they just a good team, and they are a good team, solid team that can beat you in any way, but it's also important too because if Brady loses this game, it'll be probably the first time as long as I can remember, or as long as I've been watching football, that Tom Brady will have a losing start to the season, which is something that's very rare for Tom Brady. You don't see him really lose back-to-back games or be on a losing streak the way that he is right now. So they started out 3-2. They have a 2-game losing streak, and if they have that, it'll be a third game loss that he lost in a row. And that's not something that Tom Brady wants or needs for this time right now. The Ravens, however, are very interesting. They're an interesting team to me because when they play super hot, they play well, and a lot of other teams have difficulty catching up to the level that they do play in. But there's also times too, and I think it's more, you can blame more of that on the defense. You can blame it on their defensive coordinator, coach, and you can just say, like, well, this defense in the first half plays well, but they just significantly fall apart in the end, and they just stop playing football, which they've already lost a few games. They've lost 3 games already in the fourth quarter where they've had double-digit leads. So, with all that being said, the Ravens, not sure if I really want to pick the Ravens as far as like covering the spread or covering like the plus 1.5, because I just don't know what kind of defense you're going to see from this team this day. But I get it. It's Tampa Bay. It's a tough place to play, especially with Tom Brady. Tom Brady usually does not lose 3 straight games in a row. We all know that. It's just, I think right now with the way Tom Brady is playing is something that we saw very similar to what we saw back in the 2019 season where he played very subpar. It was not the best Tom Brady that we saw, very average stats that he showed in the 2019 season. And I think that's kind of a similar stat line that we are seeing this year in comparison to Brady's last year in New England. So it's tough. It's really tough to pick between the two teams because I think they're both a lot better than what their records indicate. But at the same time, inconsistencies and the way both teams are playing and coaching really is making a big impact to make this a better game. A better game. So it's tough. Not sure exactly who I want. I don't really have any confidence in either team, to be quite honest with you, of really being able to, you know, beat each other out. And I'm not sure exactly if I would bet on this game this week. I think there's plenty of other games that you could bet on this week and focus more of your time on. But if you are going to bet on this game, you can take the Bucks 1.5 point, or you can take the Ravens plus 1.5. But I think just for purposes of betting, I think it's easier if you do pick the Bucks and the 1.5 because I think it's going to be very. I just think it's very hard for the Ravens to cover the spread right now just because of their defense. I personally don't trust their defense to close out games, and we've seen that already. And I think this is going to be like one of those games where, like, they have their, I guess you could say they're more of a favorite in this game, but they also can let this game slip away very easily because of not only because of Tom Brady, but also with the way that defense can play. And we know the Bucks defense is very, very good still, despite the offense very sluggish. So I think my straight up, I'm gonna pick the Bucks. I'm gonna pick the Bucks. Neither team is very trustworthy right now. I don't trust either one of these teams to really do anything spectacular. I don't expect this game to be like the big highlighted game that I was anticipating earlier in the year, or maybe other podcasters and analysts were. But I'm picking the Bucks because I just have that gut feeling that Brady's going to win one of these games eventually. He does not lose three straight in a row, and he usually does not lose at home. It's very tough to beat Tom Brady at home, especially now that he's playing in Tampa Bay in the most crucial time of the year, where he knows if he does not win this game, his team might be in serious trouble. So this is where Tom Brady could probably play fired up. He can probably really get a spark going for this offense to get them up and rolling again. I think Mike Evans will have a good matchup with Marcus Peters, who will be playing in this game. That'll be an interesting matchup to see between the two players from each of their teams. And I'm looking forward to this. I think it will be a decent game, but it's definitely not the game that I personally thought would have happened. But I'm picking the Bucks. I'll take the 1.5, but I'm definitely again not confident in taking that because I just don't feel like either one of these teams are trustworthy right now due to coaching and just the lack of one team having struggles on offense and one team like the Ravens can't close out games. All right, next game. The Denver Broncos. You got it. The Denver Broncos, who are traveling to play the 2.5 point favorites of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game is going to be being played in London, which is a hot spot for Jags players and the Jags team as a whole, where they play their best football rather than they play in America. So the Jags are 2.5 point favorites. Now, we know the struggles of the Broncos right now. The Broncos are an absolute mess right now, a train wreck. And it's not because of the way they play defense. Their defense is playing really well, despite with the supposed trade rumors going on with Bradley Chubb. We'll see if that really pulls through with anything. I think that would kind of hurt their defense if he got traded away. So we'll see what really happens there. But the Broncos on offense is just really bad. Even without Russell Wilson, with Brett Ripien, however you say his last name, he's not any better or did not play any better than what Russell Wilson would have done. But this Broncos offense is just absolutely dreadful to watch. Anytime I've watched any of the Broncos games this year, and I've watched quite a few Broncos games because of the prime time and what they played and everything and the teams they played near my area. And yeah, this team absolutely blows offensively. I just cannot watch this team. They can't run the ball now that Javonte Williams is not there. They can't pass the ball with Russell Wilson. Uh, Russell Wilson's only favorite target that he throws the ball to and likes to throw the ball to is Cortland Sutton, and he's not always, the most reliable receiver on the team. Jerry Jeudy is highly overrated, and KJ Hamler is hit or miss, and they're struggling a little bit with offensive line. It's solid, but it could be a lot better than what they're playing. So not a lot of help for Russell, and not a lot of help in the run game too without Javonte Williams. They can't get anything started on offense. They're the worst NFL team right now in terms of offense, and they're the worst team right now in the red zone. So I have a hard time picking the Broncos to win many games this year because of just how dreadful the offense is. The Jags, on the other hand, are also very inconsistent. They're very inconsistent, really mostly on both sides of the ball. I think Trevor Lawrence is playing back to his rookie year of being Trevor Lawrence, where he's making rookie mistakes still, throwing some picks here and there, turning the ball over. The offense of the Jags, however, is good on paper. They do have a good roster on paper for the offensive side. You have Christian Kirk, who's been a solid number one receiver for Lawrence. You have Marvin Jones, who's been there a little bit here and there. He's been doing all right. James Robinson just got traded away, but Travis Etienne, I think the run game is what you really need to. If you're going to win like games like this, I think your run game is going to play like the biggest part of your team here. And now that you don't have James Robinson as like, splitting time, which is something that didn't surprise me that the Jags would not let Robinson really carry the ball anymore. And now he's getting traded to the Jets because Breece Hall got hurt and will be out for the rest of the year. But the Jags right now, in terms of running the ball, is really their best bet of winning any games because I think with you have Travis Etienne, he's the most consistent player on the team. When he breaks out, the guy's on fire. I watched his highlights last week and the week before when he played against the Colts and when he played against the Giants. This guy is a bright future running back for this team. He's going to be highly contested in the future. I think he's going to be, right up there as like one of the best quarterbacks and not quarterbacks, best running backs in the league. They have a solid offensive team. They do, but just the consistencies with Trevor Lawrence and coaching too, that also plays a big part in this team too. Also kind of, is hit or miss too. The defense, they can play good, and when they do play good, they play rock solid. But as of the last couple of weeks, their defense has not been exactly where they really need to be, which hurts them quite a bit too. But definitely not my favorite matchup, but I'm taking the Jags. I think the Jags are just a slightly better team. I like Doug Peterson as the coach better. I think if you have to compare the two quarterbacks, the obvious answer is Russell Wilson, who's better than Trevor Lawrence. But the way that things are looking right now and not looking historically, I picked Trevor Lawrence over Russell Wilson. And the reason just behind that, because they do have a solid offense. And I think the more that you can run the ball, which is something that's kind of like the biggest struggle for the Denver defense. And the Denver defense is excellent. They have one of the best defenses in football right now, at least a top 10 unit. But the biggest part I think they will struggle in the most, and it's something that has been apparent the last few years and something that has been seen, they are pretty runnable. You can pretty much run all over, not run all over, but you can make some big plays on the ground. And that's something that I think Doug Peterson needs to look into this week when he's getting his team prepped up and ready to go. I think you have to lean towards your run game, and I think Travis Etienne can definitely break out for you and can give you the best points possible and even score you some touchdowns. So I'm taking the Jags. It's in London. I'm taking them. I think they're a better team than the Broncos offensively, and I just think right now they also have better coaching staff, and you name it. So I'm taking the Jags to win this game. And as far as the 2.5, I would take the 2.5. No question about it, because I just don't trust the Broncos right now. I really don't, guys. I don't trust the Broncos. I just don't trust that offense. It's just dreadful. I can't even watch another Broncos game because of how bad it is. All right, next game, we've got the Miami, or as Mitch from the Bottom Line View calls it, the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, who go on to face the Detroit Lions in Detroit. So the Dolphins are 3.5-point favorites. A game that I really would have liked to pick the Lions, because I think the Lions are more than capable of pulling off some upsets, but I got to go with the Dolphins. And the reasoning behind that is because I think the Lions are just very injured right now on offense. They're not looking quite the same as they did the first few weeks of the season, and even some games where they look like they could have won, but haven't really played anywhere up to that. So I'm taking the Dolphins. The Dolphins did play the Steelers last week. They looked solid. They did slow down quite a bit after the first quarter, which kind of slowed the pace of the game down for the Dolphins. But they looked great for one drive. They looked great for that very first drive. Tua looked like he was back to right where he was. A couple of times scared me. I didn't think he really needed to run as much as he did, but he took some risks for the team, which really made me nervous. I think he'll take those risks again, knowing that he has a bad defense of the Lions. And I think Raheem Mostert can even have a better game than he did last week against the Steelers because of how bad of the run defense for the Lions is. Guys, the Lions defense, when I say it is bad, it's absolutely positively terrible. You can run all over this defense, which has already been seen already this year. You can pass all over this defense. The cornerbacks are not very good. You can get the ball. You won't really get a lot of pressure on them. That's what we've seen already. I don't think Tua will face too much pressure this week on the Lions defense. And on the other side of the ball of the Lions, they have a good offense, but the way they're beat up right now is they're just playing back to what they did last year, a little bit inconsistent, not exactly like the explosiveness like they did, the first few weeks of the season. Jared Goff is coming back to earth. He's playing back to Jared Goff style, and he played that last week against the Cowboys. But it's the Dolphins. The Dolphins defense is good. They're going to get pressure all over an injured Lions team. I think they're going to get beat up a little bit. They might keep it competitive if Jared Goff does not throw any interceptions or turn the ball over. As far as I know, I believe DeAndre Swift is playing in this game. He is still questionable, but as far as we know, I do think he is going to end up playing in this game. And if he does, that will help their running game out a lot, getting him back. And as far as Amon-Ra St. Brown is, I believe he's also questionable as well. So we'll see how that goes too in the passing game. But if he does come back this week, that's also a big plus for the Detroit Lions, and really the only way that this team can really do anything. So last week was a rough one for Amon-Ra St. Brown. It was a rough week for the Lions. They probably could put up some points, but I'm going with the Dolphins because I just think the Dolphins and Tua and Mike McDaniel and this offense for the Dolphins is going to be way too much for the Lions to slow down, and they just absolutely positively don't have the defense to do that. And as far as the spread goes, I would take the 3.5. I think they can cover that pretty manageably, pretty easily. All right, next game we've got the Carolina Panthers, the 2-5 Carolina Panthers, who are coming off of a upset win over the Tampa Bay Bucks, facing and going to the Atlanta Falcons, who are 4.5-point favorites against their division foe. All right, so neither team, both teams I predicted this year would have been pretty bad already. I would have already figured that either one of these teams would be looking for their first win, but the win last week for the Panthers was more or less a fluke. I think it was more of a fluke to me because I didn't think PJ Walker would be playing the way that he did. I didn't think they were going to do anything without Christian McCaffrey. That wasn't there. And I thought it would have been a lower scoring game than it really was. I guess you could say it was a low scoring game, but I didn't think that the Panthers would have scored 21 points on a really good Tampa Bay defense, but they did. And that's more or less for me a fluke. Now, as the Falcons go, the Falcons are not that bad of a team. I think the Falcons are, an interesting team. Are they the most talented team on this planet? No, absolutely not. But what I do like about the Falcons, I think they do have the best coaching staff right now, as far as teams with like an average to below average record. I think their coaching staff is very good. Arthur Smith, he does not get the credit that he deserves. I think he deserves a lot of the credit for the way the Falcons are playing. He is containing Marcus Mariota. He's working around the best strengths that we know that we've seen from Mariota play before, and it's really benefiting for this team. They slowed the pace of the game down. They're able to score on you at any given moment, and the defense is not that bad. I don't think the defense is as bad as it was the last few years where they were giving up games and choking games away. I haven't really seen the Falcons really choke away any games yet this year. Maybe one, except one against the Saints, but there hasn't really been many games, honestly, that they've choked this year. They've kept the lead for, all their wins, and they didn't choke anyway games. So, I think their record right now, if I believe it's 3-4, is pretty reasonable. I think it's very appropriate for this team. And that's why I'm going with the Falcons. I like the Falcons. I really do. I think they definitely excel in the coaching staff over the Panthers easily. They have the better quarterback, which probably isn't like saying a whole lot that Marcus Mariota is better than PJ Walker, who is expected to play in this game. But the talent for the Falcons and what they do what they do well in is mostly with running. I think they run the ball really well, or pretty underratedly, I guess you could say. In some ways, they are underrated in the run game. And, I think the receivers play exceptionally well. I mean, there's not a whole lot that Marcus has to really do for this offense to click. it's mostly just containing Mariota from limiting his mistakes that he's done before, and we've seen the mistakes of where and his weaknesses of where we have seen him before. But he's serviceable. He's helping this team out, getting the wins. He's getting it done, and it's really thanks to Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith is doing what he can to contain that the quarterback play and utilizing him for play action plays, something that he's the best at, and just being able to get out of the pocket makes some yardage. So I'm taking the Falcons. I would take the Falcons. As far as the spread goes, it's very possible that they could beat them by 4.5 because of how bad the offense of the Panthers are. But it's also a risk taker too to take the 4.5 because it's very likely that the Falcons could very well lose this game, just because it's a divisional game. But at the same time too, it's also very possible that they could cover the spread for this week because the Panthers are just not a very good team. But I'm taking the Falcons straight up. As far as the bet goes, it's a pick or choose. You can choose either way. All right, next game, we've got the Arizona Cardinals, the team that everybody still likes to pick every single week, or teams that everybody, really likes to overrate all the time, who are playing the Minnesota Vikings, who are 3.5-point favorites. The the Cardinals have their issues. Last week when they played against the Saints, they played the Saints last week. They played the best offense that I've seen the Cardinals play all year last week. They've put up over 40 points. They ended up winning that game. They won, I think there was 42-35 or something like that. It was very close. The Cardinals offense played the best offense I've seen them play this year. It makes a big difference for a quarterback when you have a outstanding receiver of DeAndre Hopkins. And it was his very first game back with the Cardinals last week, and it showed some promise of the offense. It made the offense come to life with having DeAndre Hopkins back, and so that makes a big difference for the Cardinals. But the defense, however, played well. They had some big breaks with some interceptions. They had 2 pick sixes against Andy Dalton, which is very impressive, by the way. And they had another interception from him. So they definitely got some turnovers from last week, but that was against the Saints, who are really beat up right now and just not really being a very good team of where they could be right now. So, the defense will be tested this week for the Cardinals against the Vikings of how talented they really are. They can run the ball on you if they wanted to. Dalvin Cook has been a little bit slow this year, but I think Dalvin Cook could have a good game here. And Justin Jefferson should have another really, really outstanding game against the Cardinals secondary. That's not terrible, but I don't think they're going to have, I don't think they'll really have anybody that can really cover Justin Jefferson so much. So they're going to probably have to really double team him and be able to really catch up with him in order to be successful against a strong offense for the Vikings. Now, the only thing that does concern me as far as the Vikings go is obviously their pass rush, very inconsistent. The secondary is very slow, not fast at all. I don't really like their secondary and what they've been able to do. But this game could easily could be an offensive shootout. It could go either way for this game just because of how dreadful and how bad defenses are for these two teams. But I think at the end of the day, the best defense wins. The best team overall wins, and I think that's the Vikings. I think the Vikings win. And as far as covering the spread of 3.5, that's tough. That's a tough one for me because I feel like it could be a 2-point game. It could be a 1-point game. Could go more than that. But it's a very tricky situation if you ask me. I think it could be very tricky to go ahead for the spread or bet on this one. So if you do plan on betting on this game, I think your best bet probably would be looking into the over-under because if you look at the over-under later on this week, and I would probably wait until at least Sunday morning, early afternoon before the game starts to place in your bet because I think the over for this game is going to be relatively high. I don't know what the over on this game is at the top of my head, but I know what the spread is. The spread might go down It might stay the same before Sunday's game. So it's tough to make a bet on this game, but I think this is one of the games I might make my best bet this week, and I might bet on the over on this game because I just know how good of the offenses for both of these teams really are. The Cardinals offense exploded last week against the Saints. I think they do that again against a not very good defense for the Vikings, and I think the Vikings could also explode once again, and also be able to score a lot of points, but just struggle on defense significantly because their defense is also not very good, and the Cardinals' defense is also not very good. So I can definitely see this game being an offensive shootout. Look into that. I think you'll have some success with looking at the over/under. And if you want to go with the spread of 3.5, it's definitely up to you if you feel like they can do that. But I personally think it's going to be a much tighter spread than 3.5. And quite truthfully, I will add this in just to, give my opinion on it. I'm not personally a fan of the half points, like 9.5. Like this game right here that I'm about to talk about, the Bears and the Cowboys. Cowboys are 9.5. I'm not a big fan of the half points. I just think that's not really anything. It's not really telling you anything personally. It's not really saying like, no team really wins by half points. It's always a full point. So I never understand why they always have to throw in the half point in there. I really don't ever understand that. So that's why I kind of lean towards certain games that I know can be won comfortably, but that particular game of the Cardinals and Vikings, I don't really like the spread for that one. I think it will be much lower than that, but we'll see how that happens. But here we go. We got the Bears. We got the Cowboys. Again, I said it was a 9.5-point favorite for the Cowboys. The Bears surprised me last week. I thought the Bears, and they have been under the radar a little bit this year. They haven't been absolutely dreadful like some people did, including myself. I thought they weren't going to be anywhere as good as they've been in years past, but they've been, I think their defense is still playing pretty solid. I think they play a pretty solid defense. It's tough. It's fast. They can get pressure on you at any given moment, and that's exactly what this defense did last week against the Patriots. They had a really good game plan with the Patriots, and they did a really good job excelling in it. As far as the Cowboys go, the Cowboys do have their issues too. The Cowboys definitely do have issues. Don't let them trick you up in any way saying that they don't. They definitely have their issues. But the real reason why they really are struggling is because I think a lot of it is because one thing is Dak is back. There's a rhyme. But Dak is back from an injury, and he looks very rusty. He looked very rusty last week's game. He didn't look terrible, but he did look pretty rusty in some plays and some drives. He did look rusty. He didn't look exactly the way that we know Dak Prescott usually plays. And I think that's kind of the reasons why they struggled offensively, but they've been struggling offensively this year, even without Dak in it. So it's kind of hard for me to really say that the Cowboys can win by 9.5. It's very likely that they could, but give the Bears credit where credit is due. They also played well last week. They're coming off of a nice win. I think their offense right now looks a little bit better. They look a lot more faster. They look more alert than the Cowboys offense do. I think the Cowboys offensive line is struggling bad. I think, really what's keeping them in the game is really the use of Zeke Elliott and using Tony Pollard too in the backfield too as kind of like the flex guy, as being like the receiver and the running back and what have you. He's being utilized in that aspect. And the only way that you're going to really score any points in the passing game is if you have CeeDee Lamb. That's really basically what they do have, because the other receivers on this team is also very inconsistent. But what also makes the Cowboys a very winnable game for them is because they can also play very good defense. I can see this game being very low scoring. Definitely could see the game being like 7 points or less, because that's how tight of this game I really think it's going to be. I think the Bears offense might give a little bit of trouble for the Cowboys, but in terms of the run they may have some success in. In terms of pass rush for the Cowboys, they should be able to get to Justin Fields and pressure him with no problems and be able to turn him over. That's why I'm going with the Cowboys in that case. That's why I'm going with the Cowboys. I don't like the offense of what they're playing. I think the offense for the Bears is better, But when you look it up on paper, too, it's not really the best matchup for the Bears because they just can't pass the ball. They can't pass the ball against a tough pass rush with the Cowboys and how good the secondary is and how good they've been lately with the secondary. Trayvon Diggs is going to get there. He'll be able to make some big plays. And yeah, so I'm taking the Cowboys to win this game. As far as the spread goes, you can bet on the spread of 9.5 if you want to, but all I'm saying is though, look into the over under, keep a close eye on for if the spread goes down or up this week because it's very likely that it will probably go down. It probably will go down, and if it does, it will be better for everybody if they do. So we'll do that. So I'm taking the Cowboys to win, and I would probably bet on the over under on this game, and that's probably what I'm going to do and make it maybe one of my best bets, but I don't know yet. But we'll see. All right. Guys, we'll take a quick break. If you haven't already, please like this video if you're able to. Leave a comment down below and also hit that subscribe button too. Guys, I really need all your subscribers. I need all the subscribers that I can get. I need you guys to be able to participate. I want you guys to be tuning into these videos each and every week. So the more of an audience that I can draw, the more content that I can draw with you guys and more conversations I can have about football with you guys, the more successful this YouTube channel is going to be. So please do all those things. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You got it. Let's go. All right, next up, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders, who are going to play the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. The Raiders are 1.5 favorites to the Saints. I think this game is going to go to the Raiders. I think it's going to go to the Raiders. I feel confident in it. Last week was kind of a game that looked a little bit sluggish in the beginning for the Raiders. I think that, coming off the bye week, I think it was a little bit sluggish for them. Kind of looked out of sync after the week before, the week before their bye week when they were playing the Chiefs and they, had an offensive explosion. I think you're going to see that again. I think you're going to see that kind of a game from the Raiders and be able to win an offensive explosion. And I think this time it's going to come on the Raiders' end. There's just not a lot about the Saints that, is very trustworthy right now. I think the defense has been very disappointing this year. The offense has a lot of injuries with Michael Thomas, who's still very questionable or is even out. I don't think Michael Thomas is back yet in this for this team. So that kind of hurts them a lot too. He is questionable this week, but we'll see if he ends up playing. It's his toe, so we'll see if he does. But he hasn't really practiced or anything for the team yet. So as far as that goes, Chris Olave will still get probably the number 1 targets and be the most targeted player on the team and take the most receptions away. Alvin Kamara has been hit or miss. He's been solid some games, but he's also missed some games too with injury, and he's also just been downright awful with playing some games. So, can't really rely on him to really give you the best play possible. And then if Andy Dalton is starting, which right now he is starting in this game, that's also going to hurt them quite a bit too against, this Raiders pass rush that isn't very good, but when they can give you the moment to be good, they can beat you and they will beat you in those given ways. So that's something that's really important to really look into as far as that that goes. But I'm taking the Raiders. I like what the Raiders can do. I think they're improving. They finally can run the ball, which is something that they've really needed to do for a very, very long time. They're able to run the ball now with Josh Jacobs. He's playing great football. The passing game is going to get better. Derek Carr is going to get better. He's going to get Devontae Adams his targets. Hunter Renfrow, again, he's questionable. He has not been there this year to help this team out. Darren Waller, we'll see if he plays. He was out last week. We'll see if he also plays for this week. And if he does, that could help their passing game out a little bit. The pass rush for Max Crosby could get to Andy Dalton, could force some turnovers. It's a good matchup for them. And the Saints could, for the Raiders too, with Devontae Adams, it could be a very good game for Devontae. It could be a good passing game because as of right now, Marshawn Lattimore is injured and he did not get to play last week. And as far as I know, he is not playing this right now. He's on the on the injury list right now. He has an abdominal issue right now, so it's probably going to be very likely that he probably will be out again. We'll see what happens there. I think he's going to be out as far as we know. He's still on the injury report. That will hurt the defense and the secondary quite a bit because that's where the Saints' strongest suit has been the last couple of years, is been the secondary, and I think that will continue to struggle for them. But I'm taking the Raiders. I'm taking my man Derek Carr. I'm taking Josh McDaniels to make the right coaching calls, the right offensive play calls, you name it. So give me the Raiders, and I would take the 1.5. I would definitely, guys, the Raiders, they may not have the best record, but I would take any given chance I get. If the Raiders are favored points, I would probably take the advantage of winning for them to win the spread. That's all I'm going to say on that. All right, next game, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are traveling their way to the team that I personally did not see them being the kind of team that they were, that they've been showing as of late. And it's also a divisional foe for me. The Philadelphia Eagles, who are 10.5-point favorites. I'll make this very quick. I'm going with the Eagles. Eagles should win this game, hands down, no questions asked about it. The Steelers defense has issues. Without TJ Watt, they're not the same defense. Without TJ Watt, it makes a whole difference for a defense to really have anything successful in them. They have some solid players that can play football, and we saw that, but the Eagles offense right now, and what they can do if they take advantage of it, which they should be able to do because of how dreadful the offense for the Steelers is, and Kenny Pickett is expected to start again, so he's also going to struggle a little bit in this game too. He has not had a good start to the season, which is a shame for him. Being drafted out of Pitt, has not had the most, successful game so far. He's played a lot of tough teams, and this is another tough team he's going to be facing against, the 6-0 Eagles, and they could potentially go 7-0. I think that's very highly possible for them to do that. So I will take the Eagles. As far as the spread, I would take the 10.5. I would take the 10.5 points for the Eagles. They've just been very good offensively this year. All right, next we've got the Patriots. My New England Patriots were one of the teams that I really have enjoyed watching over the years. My man, Mac Jones, Bill Belichick, you name it. Mac Jones better play this game. As of right now, he is named the starting quarterback. He better play a full game in this game, who plays against the New York Jets. The Patriots are 2.5-point favorites. Tough game for me. This is a very tough game, and I kind of figured this was going to be a tough game since the beginning of the year. The Patriots, we've seen the struggles that they've had. We saw the struggles that they've had last week when they played against the Bears. They had 2 really good drives with Bailey Zappe after he took over for Mac Jones. And yippee-yi-yay, everybody's all excited, making all sorts of Zappe chants and what have you. And then after that, the Patriots just fell flat on their faces. And I'm personally, and it's nothing against Bailey Zappe. He's probably a very nice kid. He seems like he's a nice kid. And yes, he did have a couple of good games, but he's not a starting quarterback in this league. Mac Jones is. Mac Jones does things that Bailey Zappe can't do. But there also are some things that Bailey Zappe could do slightly better in than Mac Jones. But the overall better quarterback here is, kind of dry and cut and clear. It's Mac Jones. He deserves to be the starter. He should start this whole game. And if he doesn't, shame on you, New England. Shame on you if you bench him yet again before the second half starts. Now, as far as the Jets go, the Jets lose Breece Hall for the rest of the year. That's going to hurt them in the running game quite a bit. But they also picked up James Robinson in a trade, which could help them in the split game for the run game with Michael Carter and James Robinson. That could help out some things. I think Carter will get more of the snaps, but Robinson probably could get more touches near the end zone. That'll be something interesting to see. Zach Wilson is, I'm not saying he's bad at all. He's not. But I haven't really seen enough of Zach Wilson to really say, they're good. Or at least they're good as what they say they are. The reason why they're in my top 10 is because of just how good that defense really is. Their defense is it got to be at least a top 5 unit. They've been playing absolutely lights out football all season long since the beginning of the year. They've just been playing excellent defense. They've done a really good job with their first game with the Ravens, where everybody kind of thought that I was crazy and I said that could give the Ravens problems. They did give the Ravens problems. They absolutely did. And the offense on the other side, really, when they get a run game going, is really what they're best at. But they can also get some plays off in the passing game a little bit with Zach Wilson. Nothing really anything crazy, but really the only reason why Zach Wilson hasn't played up to where his potential was is just because of the offense that they have been playing. They haven't really relied on him enough, or haven't really needed to use him in most situations because they have a great running back duo with Breece Hall and Michael Carter getting some snaps here and there too, which just makes reasoning why they've been successful. So it's a tough game, and it's a tough game for a lot of reasons because this also kind of dictates like who's going to take charge, or who's going to be able to slip into the playoff picture right now, or right before the season ends. These are the kind of games right now, if you're in the AFC right now, and just knowing like the teams that haven't really been up to where they've been, like the Broncos haven't been playing well, the Raiders don't have a good record, and the Colts aren't very good right now. The Jags are very inconsistent. Like, the teams that are just right there, the Patriots have to be able to take advantage of, because right now they're in last place in the AFC East, which is very rare and very hard, weird to see. It's something that hasn't been seen in decades for them to take, be in fourth place in the AFC East. So it's a tough game. It's a game that Bill Belichick has to win. It's a game that Mac Jones has to win. And it's not going to be an easy game. It's really not going to be an easy game for either team. Both defenses are very good. It's going to be a very low scoring game. You're not going to see a whole lot of, you might see some play action plays from Mac. You might see him scramble a little bit and probably get some yardage in. Something that he's not particularly, something that you don't always see Mac Jones do successfully in. I mean, when he can run, but the way of how you're going to win this game really is it's just going to be tough. It's going to be very tough to beat the Jets because of how great their defense has been and what their offense can do very conservatively, and that's like running the ball. And I think they'll have some success in that department. But the Patriots will also have success too with their defense. They'll have success in running the ball too, with Ramondre Stevenson can run the ball. Damian Harris will get some split time here and there too. And then with the weapons that Mac Jones does have are not the greatest, but if they make the right play calls and they keep playing in the play action like Matt Patricia has been doing, I think they can find a way to beat the Jets, but it's not going to be an easy game. So it's definitely not my favorite game to bet on for this week, but it's a game that I think is going to be, very low scoring and something that I personally would enjoy because I enjoy defensive battles. I enjoy as long as like the offense gets some things going and the defense is playing good, then that's like when I like the defensive, battles. It's not like the Colts and Broncos game where you're kicking field goals all the time. I like to see a little bit of touchdown, a little bit of field goals here and there, and just playing solid defense. So, very tough game, but I have to go. Do I want to go with the Patriots or do I want to go with the Jets? Because this is tough for me. I like what I've seen from both teams. I've liked what I've seen defensively from both teams, and it's tough. But I think I got to trust my man Mac Jones and the Patriots and Bill Belichick. I have to put my trust in them. And as far as the bet goes with 2.5, very possible they could win by that spread or even more. But it's definitely not a game for me that I would be betting on for this week because it's just a tough game, guys. Bill Belichick has owned the Jets forever, but this could be the year where he could lose to the Jets, very likely. So I'm not confident about the Patriots, but my mind wants to go with the Jets. I really want to go with the Jets, in my heart, but my mind is telling me the Patriots because I just feel like Bill Belichick is going to really be able to. He can figure out what the Jets are doing, and he can find ways to beat them. And I just trust Mac Jones to make the right decisions, and he will do that in this game. All right, next game we've got the Tennessee Titans, who are on a 4-game winning streak right now, who are going to the Houston Texans to play the Texans. So the Titans are 2.5-point favorites. This is a tough game. It's a very tough game for me to really decide who's going to win. Why? Because this is a division game. It's a division game that makes it tough for me to decide on who's going to win this game. That's really what it comes down to. They'll have a great run game with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry will have a solid game, and he's going to be the offense for the Titans. We don't even know if Ryan Tannehill is even playing right now. He's questionable with the ankle injury. As far as we know, he's playing. But if he's not ready to go, Malik Willis might get his very first NFL start in this game. Very possible if Ryan Tannehill is not ready to go. But the offensive weapons for the Titans, Traylon Burks, who's on the IR right now, and with all the injuries that's going on right now, offensive line, defensive line, etc., you name it. Titans do have a lot of problems right now. The fact that they're winning 4 straight games right now is very surprising to me of how they are winning those games, but also not that much. And the reasoning is because of coaching. Mike Vrabel is a very good coach. He's a good coach to have some success and be able to be successful, in some given games. He's had some success with the Texans. He scored a lot of points against the Texans. But the Texans also are a team that are definitely a team. They may not be the best team. They're not the best team. They're not a very good team. But what they do well in is they run the ball well. Davis Mills, when he gets moments and when he has a big moment, he can beat you. He can beat you. And it's been seen, a couple of times where he has had some good games, but he did let some games slip away. And even with the defense of the run defense for the Texans isn't very good. While they may not be very good, I think Ryan Tannehill will have a tough game with passing the ball yet again, like he did last year in Tennessee. And we did see that last year when they did play each other, and it was rough. Ryan Tannehill threw 4 picks against the Texans. It was not pretty. It was not a pretty picture, but it was also not a pretty win for the Texans either. They basically won on a Tyrod Taylor. Both of his touchdowns were rushing touchdowns, and the rest of the game was field goal. So it was a very ugly win for the Texans, but at the same time, they always give the Titans some problems. They've had the last few years. That's why I'm going with the upset. I'm going with the Texans to win in Houston. I think the Texans have what they can to beat the Titans. They can do it, but it's also going to be very tough for Ryan Tannehill in the passing game to get going, because I think the secondary of the Texans guys really has not been all that bad. Has not been all that bad whatsoever. They deserve to get the credit that they do deserve, and running the ball, however, will be a good game for them. I think Derrick Henry will have a solid day, maybe even get a touchdown or two. He's really going to be the vocal offense for the Titans. But other than that, it'll probably be a lower scoring game, more of a defensive kind of a game where, like in the last quarter, maybe we'll see some more explosion. But I'm picking the upset for the Texans because I think just the AFC South as a whole is not very good. I think all the teams are going to end up splitting with one another this year, which is very well possible. And I think this is where the Texans will win their first matchup. So I take the Texans. As far as the spread goes, the plus 2.5 for the Texans, it's possible that they could, but you could also go with the minus 2.5 for the Titans too if you really want to. But it's definitely these division games, guys. I'll just be honest with you. With these division games, it's definitely not my favorite to bet on because anything can happen in divisional games. So that's why I kind of lean towards not really doing anything about that. All right, next game, the New York Giants, or as I should be calling them, the New York G-Men. The New York G-Men who are traveling across the country, flying an airplane all the way across the Seattle Seahawks, who, once again, the opponent is favored over the Giants. Again, this has been like that for the last several weeks. I don't know what it is about it. I don't understand why Vegas is not favoring the Giants by any means. I don't understand what it is about it. They have more fourth quarter comebacks than any other football team in this league right now. Are they the best team in the world, the Giants? Probably not. They're probably not the most talented. But what they do have is good coaching staff. They have really good coaching staff that is very hard to compete against. You can't beat this coaching staff that really knows a lot about football. Brian Dable, Wink Martindale, like great coaching staff right now. This is the best coaching staff of the Giants that we have seen in quite a long time. And I like this matchup for both teams for a lot of reasons. Well, one, because I think it's a good matchup and it's a good test for the defense for the Giants to get going. Because with the offenses that they've had played, with the exception of the Ravens, the Titans, maybe with Derrick Henry, and what other offenses that they've played that's been good enough. I think this is one of the more tougher, but anyways, this is probably one of the more tougher games for the Giants, and probably more of a challenging matchup for the Giants because of what the Seahawks can do. Guys, Geno Smith. I know Geno Smith has not been the greatest football player of all time. He has not been the greatest quarterback of all time since the beginning of his time. But what he does do well, and we've seen already, Geno Smith is a starter in this league. That's all we got to say on that. And he's proven that this year time and time again, yet people don't respect the Seahawks for what they have done. Now, again, are they a great team, the Seahawks? No. But they're like the Giants. They're very feisty. They're hungry. They want to win football games. They are feeling a sense of urgency to do really well post Russell Wilson era, and I think that's been successful so far, offensively at least. The only thing for the Giants that they're going to have a lot of success in is Saquon Barkley. They're going to have so much success with Saquon, and if you have Saquon on your fantasy team, man, he's probably going to drop close to 40 points on you. I think that's exactly what's going to happen because of how bad the defense of the Seahawks is. That's why I'm going with the Giants. The Giants have a good defense. They may figure out what to do with Geno Smith. Geno Smith played with the Giants for some time. He played a little bit. He had one game played with the Giants when Ben McAdoo decided to be stupid and bench Eli Manning for Geno Smith. So he knows the talent. He knows the scheme that the Giants do already. He has experience with the Giants, and it's gonna be tough for him to really have success because I think it's a different face of defense that he's probably going to be facing than since when he played with the Giants. So it may be tough for him, but I like what the Giants do have. I think they'll have some success with what they can do, but it's going to be another one of those close games, last 2 minutes, fourth quarter comebacks where the Giants come back and they win. That's probably what's going to end up happening here, but I like the Giants to win and take them in the +3. That's my bet for this week. All right, next up, we've got a few more games left to talk about. The Washington Commanders, who are traveling to the Indianapolis Colts, who I apologize. This is an error on my part. I did not put the spread down for this team, but the Colts are favored by 3, which is surprising. I don't know why they're favored by 3. I think it should be the Commanders who are favored. Because for one thing, and it's something that we did talk about a little bit last night in this in my Week 7 recap video. Matt Ryan is benched, and as far as we know, that Sam Ehlinger is going to be the starter for this game come Sunday. So I don't know what Sam Ehlinger is. I don't know anything about him. I don't know his stats, and we don't know really if he can play football. That's basically what it is. Everything's an unknown right now. That's why it makes it very hard for me to pick the Colts because of the unknowns of a new rookie quarterback. He could have success, could be the starter for the rest of the year, or they could go back to Matt Ryan, or heck, they could go with Nick Foles if they really wanted to. But this carousel for the Colts needs to be put to an end. We'll see if it puts an end to it on Sunday and they have their new face of a quarterback. But I don't know what it is. I just can't pick the Colts. They're so wildly inconsistent this year. The defense, I like what the Colts have done on defense. I think the defense is solid. It's good. But I think with the talent that they do have has not played anywhere of the expectations of where they could be this year, which is why I can't say they're a top 10 or at least a top 15, maybe even top 20. They're solid. They're solid enough to get wins. But the Commanders, however, on the defensive side is still not very good. They're very overrated defensively. But what they do have, I think Taylor Heineke, for whatever reason, Taylor Heineke, when he plays for the Commanders, he has a different swag. He brings different, he brings just a spark to this team. I think when he played last week, besides the one pick six that he had a pick six. That's the only really downfall that he did have. I didn't see him really, based off of highlights that I did see, I didn't really see him make a ton of mistakes besides the pick six. And maybe towards like the fourth quarter was when he started to fall apart. But regardless, I feel like the Commanders with Taylor Heineke, and I saw it last year too with them, I feel like they're playing better. They play better with Taylor Heineke than they've had with any other quarterback, with the exception of probably Alex Smith. Just saying. And Alex Smith only played for not even a full year his last year when he returned from that gruesome leg injury that he had about 4 years ago. But I'm taking the Commanders to win. I'm taking the Commanders for a couple of reasons. I'm taking them because I like Taylor Heineke. He brings a different swag to this team. I think he's more electrifying. He's more exciting to watch. He takes more risks. He doesn't hold on to the ball nearly as long as Carson Wentz does. And I just think he's a better fit for this team than Carson Wentz is. And Carson Wentz has had one or two good games with the Commanders, but the rest of them has been, just not very impressive to me. He's just not gaining up to, the 2017 MVP year of Carson Wentz that he once played. I just don't think he's playing up to where that speed is. And I think Taylor Heineke just fits better into the system and could potentially play for the rest of the year too if he continues to play well. I thought he played a good game last week against the Packers. Besides a couple of things, I thought he played exceptionally well. I think that continues here. So we're not going to really see too much of a revenge game for Carson Wentz, which is okay because I don't think they would have won with Carson Wentz anyway. But I like the Commanders. I think I can trust them more than I can trust the Colts offense. I just don't know what Sam Ehlinger can do with a team like this that's just very dysfunctional. Oh, and as far as the spread goes, I'm not sure if I would take the 3 for the Colts, but very possible they could take the 3. You could take the -3 Colts. I probably would, or the +3 Commanders, whichever one you want to prefer. But probably could be a best bet. It won't be a best bet for me this week, but look at the over/under and see what you can probably get for that, or the parlays, what they have. All right, next game we've got another really, really good divisional game of the San Francisco 49ers, who are 1.5 point favorites to the Los Angeles Rams. So, Rams are coming off of a bye week, so we don't really know. We kind of know that they're well rested now, and maybe they're probably better to come back. But what other team did they really have to play than, what better team could they face in week 8 coming off of a bye week than the San Francisco 49ers? It's going to be a very rough game for them. As far as I know, Trent Williams will be back, which will help the 49ers offensive line out a lot and will help out Jimmy Garoppolo to limit the mistakes that he made last week against the Chiefs. It was not a very pretty game for Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers last week. And they did not play well against the Chiefs. The defense did not play very well, even given like maybe the top 2 best defense in the league. They did not play well against the Chiefs. They gave up over 40 points. So that's not very good for the 49ers. Now, the Rams are also a team that's not been playing very good either lately. They're just not. Right now, the Rams just have a lot of issues. They have a lot of holes that makes it very hard for anybody to say that the Rams are good this year, or if they're even going back to the Super Bowl, which I highly doubt they're going to. I don't think they're going back to the Super Bowl at all this year. Maybe the playoffs, maybe a wild card spot, but that's about it. But I'm taking the Niners. I'm taking the 49ers. I like Kyle Shanahan right now more than I like Sean McVay. I trust Kyle Shanahan's scheme, and if he gets all of his players back with from injury, like Trent Williams, and I think Nick Bosa should be coming back this week. As far as I know, I'll look that up real quickly, but he should be back for this game. I think Trent Williams is also supposed to be back as well. That's like if those key players come back this week, that's going to make the big difference for the team. Uh, let's see what else. Who else do the 49ers trouble with right now? Who else do they really have? There's not a whole lot, but they are dealing with some injuries. Debo's a little banged up, but he probably could be playing in this game, so we'll see about that. Kyle Juszczyk is out, which won't make really much of a difference. So yeah, I'm taking the Niners. I'm taking the Niners to win. I'm taking them to cover the spread because the Rams right now, guys, I just don't like what the Rams are doing right now. I just don't think they're very good. If I'm being honest with you, they're really not good. Matthew Stafford's reverting back to the old Lions. Matthew Stafford with throwing picks left and right. Cam Akers is not there. He's not good at all. He's not running the ball. They're trying to get him out of there. They can't run the ball. The only reliable player on that whole team that can do something is Cooper Kupp. But when teams like the Niners and other teams that can double cover, Cooper Kupp and, put a lot of pressure on a bad offensive line of the Rams with Matthew Stafford, it's tough. It's tough for the Rams to win games like that. So that's why I'm taking the Niners. I'm taking the Niners, hands down. All right, 2 more games left. We got the Green Bay Packers. Yes, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, who are traveling their way to play Bills Mafia in Orchard Park, New York. The Buffalo Bills, who are 10.5-point favorites. A large, and I mean, when I say this is a large spread, this is absolutely a large spread for the Bills. Tough game. Tough game, man. Yes, the Packers have not been playing well. I agree with that. Aaron Rodgers is struggling. He needs help. A lot of help. But it makes it very difficult for me and probably even, Vegas and people who like to bet on these kind of games to take the Bills in the 10.5. I think that's very large. That's a lot of points. I'm not sure if I personally would even do 9.5 points. I think that's just way too many points. Because I feel like with Aaron Rodgers, you can never know what kind of game from Aaron Rodgers you're going to get. And when he plays well, he's on his game, or if he's even down, like the guy knows how to come back from football games. He knows how he can come back from football games. That's why I can't take the 10.5 points. I think that's a large amount of points. However, what I do like about this matchup is I like to see how Aaron Rodgers does against, the run game. I want to see how they really do against the run game, which is something that the Bills could definitely take advantage of. They probably could stop the run. They probably could stop the run for the Packers with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. But I also think Josh Allen's going to have a slingfest day against an overrated Packers defense. I'm sorry, Packers fans, but the defense for the Packers has been extremely overrated. I don't see anything besides Kenny Clark is the only good defensive player for the Packers that is consistent and very physical. Everything else about the Packers defense, I just don't see anything special in the Packers defense like we thought we were going to see this year. I just don't see it. That's why I say Josh Allen's going to have a field day. Aaron Rodgers could also have a good day too, a good field day, but it's also going to rely on like who's going to be the receiver for that week, who's going to be the best receiver for him, who's going to come in through, and can they run the ball? That's really what it comes down to. I'm taking the Bills to win. I think the Bills win. Yes, better team, better coached, and I just like this team better. I like the Bills better. There's not many flaws of the Bills that I can say there's flaws. There's not very many flaws for this Bills team. That's why I've got to go with the Bills. I got to go with my man Josh Allen. 10.5. If you want to, you feel confident in it, you can make a big gamble and take the 10.5. But I'm just saying, not gonna be Your best bet, though, it's definitely not going to be mine. I probably will pass on this game. Just being brutally honest. And finally, our last game for week number 8. That's going to be played on Halloween night. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns. The Bengals are 3.5-point favorites. The Browns. Here's the thing about the Browns. The Browns have talent. They have talent, and they're good talent. We've seen them play good. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt in the run game. Phenomenal players. You've got Amari Cooper. You've got Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's been making some, big changes to this offense. Absolutely. David Njoku, who also was playing well before his injury, and he's going to be out for this weekend. The offensive line for the Browns has been solid. Good. It's been good. Jacoby Brissett, I know a lot of people have criticized him in the past when he's played with the Colts and last year when he was with the Miami Dolphins. I think he's playing better than what people are giving him credit for. I don't think he's the future starter for any NFL team anytime soon. I think he's more of a journeyman, backup quarterback for the rest of his career. But he has been playing solid starter NFL starter material. I think he's qualified for that, and he's been doing well with a good Browns team, with the protection that he gets, and with what he's got on offense. And then the defensive side, you've got Davion Clowney and you've got Myles Garrett, who are also very good edge rushers too. So they can get some good pass rushes in. As the Bengals are also very hard to stop. That's also going to put a lot of a damper on things. It's going to make the Browns struggle a lot with what they do have. The Bengals do have offensively. Just take a look at the offense, guys. I know a lot of people don't want to talk about the Bengals. Everyone wants to call them overrated and everything. Guys, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Hayden Hurst, Joe Mixon. When they play Joe Mixon, he's good. When they give him more snaps, when they give him more carries, he is good. Pirine, when they do put him in, he's not good. He's not anywhere near the Joe Mixon talent. Guys, the Bengals have great offensive weapons. What brings them down is the offensive line. We know this already. And the defense for the Bengals has been playing fine. Minus one game. They did have a rough game against the Saints. That was not a very good game for them. Not the greatest matchup for them. But other than that, the other teams that they've lost to and or beaten, guys, the defense has kept the Bengals in a lot of games. And they've done a good job with it. When the offense has failed the Bengals, the defense makes up for it, and they keep the game closer than what they actually were. And if they didn't have the solid defense that they have right now, they would have lost a lot more of those games. They would have lost a lot way worse. Like with the first game of the year, the Steelers. Joe Burrow, when he had 4 interceptions, and I think he had 5 turnovers overall. That could have turned very ugly, but the defense held up and took it to a dreadful Steelers offense. It's a good divisional game. It's a very good divisional game that I could definitely see the Browns winning this game, or I could see the Bengals winning this game. So this is a game that could easily go either way, not just because of divisional reasons, but also because of matchup reasons. I think it's a little bit of a mismatch for both teams, just a slightly bit. But I think the Bengals are more talented. They're more realmed around each other. I think it's just very hard for any team to be able to stop stop Jamar Chase, to stop T. Higgins when they're playing their A game. I think it's just very tough to stop those receivers, and it's very hard to stop Joe Burrow overall. Yeah, I mean, I love Joe Burrow, man. I'm glad I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. He's been playing outstanding this year. He's been very good. He's just a very special quarterback, guys. This Bengals team is good. I don't know what else it is to tell you. That's why I got to go with the Bengals here. The Browns do have talent. Yes, they will make this game very competitive. And I think they will make it very competitive. I think it's going to be a very good game. It could be one of the best games of the week, in my opinion. It could be one of the best games of the week. And I would like to see the Browns win, but I got to go with my man Joe Burrow and the Bengals because I like what the Bengals do have. They have just too much talent, overwhelming talent, that's going to be very hard for the Browns to be able to slow down. I think if anything, the only way the Browns can win this game if they slow down Joe Burrow. That's the only way they're going to win this game. But the way Joe Burrow is playing right now, and with this defense that's not the most consistent of the Browns, there's no reason why I shouldn't pick Joe Burrow and even cover the 3.5 points. And that's what I'm doing for this game. I might even end up betting on this game because I really like this game for the week. I like this matchup. It'll be a good game. All right. So with all that being said, thank you everybody for tuning in. That concludes all my picks for week 8. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you guys had some fun. I hope you guys were able to be entertained a little bit. I try to crack some jokes here and there and make the best, try to make the best podcast possible. And I just try to be, the most consistent. I try to be able to talk about what needs to be talked about in all these matchups and these picks, the recap videos, and just other materials in general. That's why I need you to do me a solid and please drop a like on this video and to leave comments down below on each of my videos that you guys watch. Guys, the more people that I get, the more subscribers that I get, the more people watching, the more I get commenting, and the more I interact with people every day, the more that this YouTube channel is going to be a success. So I need all of those things from you. So please please drop a comment down below. I want to hear from you guys. I want to talk about football with you guys. I want to be able to do everything with you guys, just football, anything related. If you guys have any questions, if you guys need fantasy football help, I am your guy. And if you want bets or if you want predictions, guys, I'm your guy. Please drop a like, comment. Also, hit that subscribe button as well. Hit that notification bell as well. Anytime I post any new material on my YouTube channel, you will be notified each and every time when you hit that notification bell, and you will be able to watch any videos that I post, either when I'm going live or if I post a video for the week. And with all that being said, guys, we are now concluding this predictions video. I hope you guys had a great time tonight, and I will be on tomorrow night. Once again, I'm going to try and go on right before Thursday Night Football, so that way I can talk about my fantasy team so far, and I want to be able to give you guys the best advice and the best, best advice as possible, and just show you what my lineups are right now. So, guys, I'm in 3 leagues right now. I need your help with some of my lineup setups for the week, and I want to try to get that done, before tomorrow night's game against with the Ravens and the Bucs. So, guys, if you can tune in at 7 o'clock tomorrow, that would be great. So with all that being said, people, this is your boy James, your favorite football fanatic, saying peace out, everybody, and we will see you all tomorrow night at 7 p.m. for my fantasy football advice and just recap overall of how I'm doing so far. So thank you guys again. God bless. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Thank you again. God bless.